Okay, so as promised, I'm going to take at least one of these locks apart on camera so everybody can see how it's done. Again, this is the Army Navy C.S.L side-by-side that I picked up at auction about a year ago. Finally getting around to doing a deep clean on it, checking all the parts out. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I already did this lock. This is the left lock. This is the one that has the bat hammer, where the hammer spur broke off at some point in the past, and somebody brazed on. You can see here the brazing marks, but they brazed on a new hammer spur, and while they did a valiant job of it, you can see the angle for your leverage is nowhere near what it needs to be. And it makes it very difficult to pull back. So if I'm going to use this for pheasant hunting like I want to, I need something that's quick to pull back, that I can even just take my hand and pull both back at the same time. It's very strong locks. I'm amazed at just how highly polished these are. I did find out up here, let me find a little pointer. So use my screwdriver up here. There's a little eye. I thought it was a 1 at first. And then I started searching, actually used Google Lens to search for the internals of this lock, especially this bridle pattern, because the bridle patterns are different based on the patents for the locks. And it came up on an American, flintlock, like long rifle forum, that somebody had found out that this was a, Joseph Brazier lock patent, and then I recalled from doing some recent research of my own on Reddit for an answer on Reddit, to help answer somebody's question about shotgun. And it was a J. Brazier shotgun, and I was like, oh, that's right. He marked at certain points in time his mid to high grade locks were all marked with an I, capital I. So you can see how highly polished this is, and best we can tell, this gun's from 1886, 1887 to like 1895. So that falls in line. This is 100 and minimum 131-year-old gun, and for this is not stainless steel. That did not exist back then. This is just super highly polished steel. It's so finely polished. It will take a stain. It will take some surface rust. You can see back here actually on the sear spring that it definitely can take a stain, can rust. But even then, when I polish that off, it's darker. It's almost like it gets blued because there's no real spaces for the rust to take hold. This right lock is a little bit rustier than left lock. Left lock only had a scattering back here with a little bit of pitting, but it all came out and it's oiled and good to go. So, but I'm rambling, so we're just going to go ahead and get into this. So when you take these bar locks, this is a bar lock here, guns apart, and you want to take that mainspring off, you need one of these. This is a mainspring vise. You can get it from Dixie Gun Works. That's where this one came from. Track of the Wolf also has them. You can find them on eBay as well for folks that have used them once or twice, and then they're like, I don't need it anymore. And I thought it was going to be that way. I used this to compress the mainspring in a mid-1800s Cooper pistol that I was cleaning, not restoring, just cleaning gently for a friend. And I was like, oh, I don't need it anymore. I buy my cap locks, pre-built, and turns out I was wrong, and I'm glad I held on to it. So we use this to compress the mainspring, because if we don't compress the mainspring, it has enough tension on it that it really does not want to come out. And then this is just held in by a little pin, and then the stirrup right here, I forget what technically it's called in America, but the Brits call that a stirrup, I believe, or maybe we call it a stirrup, I can't remember. Jack Rose says it on one of the Midway USA videos, but you take that out, compress it, it just comes out. It's just held in with a pin, and then tension against that stop, and then against the hammer here. So that comes out, and that's the hard part done. And then you want to keep this flat on something when you want to do it, just to keep springs from flying across the room. And instead of a box like Chacro had, I just chuck it in my magnetic tray because they're cheap. They're like $1 a piece from Harbor Freight, and you can get different sizes, and they're great. That out of the way, we're going to want to take the hammer off. This one's kind of gunked up a little bit. So a couple different things you can use. You can use a metal pick, but I really don't want to ruin this too much. So I've actually cut a floss pick, plastic floss pick here. I can get some of the gunk out of there. That's not going to remove any of the patina you want to keep. It's not going to remove any metal if you slip. It's going to be perfect now, but it's going to get the job done. These are very, very fine screws. I do have Brit style hollow ground screwdrivers, but they have a larger tip to the blade. So this is like a freaking IKEA screwdriver, and I just hollow ground the shit out of it on a grinder, so I've got a really fine tip. And I've got fine tips on my Packmeyer kit as well, gunsmithing kit, but none of the fine ones are this wide. And if you use a really fine one like that, and it's a very fine tip and a very large slot, and that screw is difficult to budge, you'll actually torque the flat tip on that, and then it's useless. So there's our hammer retention screw. These tend to just wiggle off. But in the spirit of Jack Rell, his handles on his hammers were always wooden. But here we go. I'm going to take the Wheeler hammer out here, and we'll just give it a couple tippity taps. See if we can loosen that up a bit. That's on there pretty good. You can see it right there. Getting a little wiggle. Come on, baby. Loosen up on me. Let's take that. I'm going to be very, very careful here. See if I can get a little bit of leverage on this. But I cannot tell if that's going to work. So we may actually have to hit that with a little croil or something like that. Get that out of there. All right, well, let's see what we can do here. So we are going to be taking the bridle off, because maybe, just maybe, we can pull the lock work for the hammer out from the back side, and that will free up the hammer on the other side. Now, one thing about the bridle here is that it has 4 screws, and what I'll say about it is that with the other side, the way these things made up and the way they were hand finished, I'm always very cautious of making sure that I get they're all threaded the same. We're squaring the Industrial Revolution by the time this gun was made, late 1800s. I mean, you had water-driven and steam-driven, factories, machine-made screws, things like that. But I am always very hesitant, even then, because the finish on the outside of the lock plate, sometimes, it might bulge out just a hair. The coloring may be slightly different, and I just want to make sure that everything matches up when I put it back together. So once I get these out, and once I get the bridle off, I will actually slot these screws back in the bridle in their positions to hold them in the tray, just so I don't mismatch them later. And in fact, when I put this in the ultrasonic cleaner later, I will put it in initially with all the screws still in it, and then to clean out the screw holes and everything, I will then mark these on a piece of paper, set them aside, and then I will ultimately, let's get this bridle off here, come on. I will ultimately do the screws one at a time so that I don't lose them. All right, there we go. So see here, I'm going to put the screws back in on their right spots. There we go. I'll even push them all the way down. It'll pop back up when they hit the tray, but there's that. Okay, so yeah, now I can actually pop this hammer out of here potentially. Yeah, the next two things to look at. So technically the hammer should come out next. Again, let's see if we can wiggle that out of there at all. Come on, buddy. Now we still have some tension on this side, you know, because of our sear and everything here. Come on. I can pull that sear up. I can move that hammer around a little bit and see if I can maybe get some more leverage this way. I felt like maybe I did. That's in there good. That hammer is truly fitted to that thing rather well. Punch ought to work well. Grab a block here. See if we can. Maybe we can punch that out. Here we go. Got it. All right, and as you can see, when this came out, so too came our sear. And the last thing held in place is our sear spring. And so we will take that very carefully. And when you'll hear or see me grunt tackling some of these screws that are really in there tight, I'm not really torquing hard on them, just deliberately. There's a difference between like brute force and you know, giving it some extra oomph. So yeah, I mean this is essentially the inside workings of the hammer. There are sear notches. You know, you can see the lock goes this way. So sear notches are there. This is a piece that the stirrup grabs onto to, you know, keep the hammer in contact with the mainspring, apply the pressure of the mainspring to pull it, snap it forward when you know, you trip the sears. Yeah, this is your sear. This is where your triggers rub against, hence the discoloration, a little bit of rust there, probably slightly dissimilar metals. Yeah, this one's definitely dirtier. There's spots of rust when you get that, but you know, your sear just engages, you know, cocked, and then when it's cocked like this, that little stirrup's grabbing on here trying to pull it down, and then, you know, you pull the trigger, that rotates down, this swings up, and that catches on that notch right there. So cocked, decocked, cocked, decocked. Yeah, there you have it. And you have to be careful, you know, with this Joseph Frazier lock. This piece does come out, but it's there. And I always like to, I mean, I'm filming on my camera right now, on my phone, but I typically like to take pictures of all this. I mean, the good news is I have the other lock. It's just built in reverse. And I've done this one already. You can see how nice and clean it is compared to this yucky stuff. But you know, I have that to go off of. This nice thing about having a shotgun with double locks on it. But there you go. Lock plate's nice and flat. I've seen some of these bowed out in the past, but definitely needs a good cleanup. This one's definitely got a little rust with it too. And I'm gonna hit these with a little hops number 9, and let them sit overnight, and then they'll get a scrub with a nylon or a brass brush, depending on how tough they are, and then they'll go in the ultrasonic cleaner. So, but this says Hops Elite. It's this giant bottle of Hops number 9 that I just filled the spray bottle with, because it was like 26 bucks for that giant bottle versus like, go to Walmart, buy this like 10 bucks. So why not refill? And then nylon brush, especially on the outside. I just want to pick up any dirt. Pardon me, got some hops down the old windpipe there, but I just want to pick any dirt out of the engraving. Any areas here along the edges. Get in the pinholes and the threads for the screws. Give it a good brushing. Again, the lock plates I won't put in the parts washer just because I do worry a little bit. It's trisodium phosphate cleaner in there. It's nothing bad, but I just don't want to dull any case colors that are still on these. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to send them off. Ultimately someday I'd love to have a kiln or furnace to be able to do case color hardening. But this is avocation right now. Not even avocation. I don't make any money from it. This is just a hobby right now. So I can't go spending a couple grand on a furnace or a kiln, even for a used one. It'd be nice though. This is, this is what I want to do in retirement, right? Is clean, restore, fix classic side-by-sides. Everything except LC Smiths, because those are a pain in the ass to restock. Once you get the stock off, put them back on. Mark Novak has a video on those that is just like, and he used to have to actually drill a hole in the stock to get it back on, because the way like the tumblers work or something like that, and somebody showed him a way that you could do it without having to modify the stock to get everything back on. I mean, clearly they didn't have to when they built it at the factory, but it's a pain in the ass process with those. It's almost as bad as the Ithaca Lefevre Nitro Special. Putting the cocking pins back in, that sucker, you have to build a tool for that, which I should probably do a video on, because I've only ever seen one other video, and it was in like 240p resolution, and luckily some guy has a like step-by-step tutorial of how he did it with a like a Harbor Freight C-clamp and some baling wire and stuff like that, and I was able to replicate it here at home, and it wasn't even for a true Lefevre Nitro Special. It was for a Ward's Western Field. Actually, that's this stock over here is off that gun. I got the internals taken care of, and I stripped the stock down, and I still need to hit it with a little bit more acetone. It's got a lot of oil in it, but I digress. We're still working on this. There's a little bit of pitting here. Let's do this real quick. A little bit of pitting. It's not terrible. I think I've got all the active rust out of it. So, I'll hit it with some CLP and brush it again. There's still a little bit of red in there. But I'll hit it with some CLP and brush it again. I'll get it all cleaned out, and then we'll just oil it really well. And we ought to be good. And I just need to remember, don't take this thing out in the rain. So this will be a sunny day only, side by side. All days when you're out shooting are sunny days, though, aren't they? Isn't that how it goes? Doesn't matter what the weather is. You'd stay at the office. So There we go. But you can see, I mean, there's a lot of case color hardening still on the inside. Not uncommon. You know, this doesn't see all that much wear. But even on the outside, yeah, we've got some great patina here around the rest of the lock plate. But you can even see, you know, where the hammer rests. Typically, a lot of times that gets worn because, you know, people brush the crap out of it, oil it all the time, so on and so forth. But that looks really nice. It's a, you know, all in all, this gun's in great shape. Yeah, the only bad thing is that one hammer, and aesthetically, there's a hole in the rib, and I have no clue why. I don't know if somebody was trying to add a sight to it, or like a rear notch or a blade or something like that. Actually, I can show you that here in a second. There's that lock plate. Yeah, here's the other problem with it. So, I mean, the barrels are in good shape. They ring true. There's a couple of little external dents in them. But this right here, see if you see that. Let me move this down a bit. Yeah, so right here, I mean, that's a fucking hole in that thing. And that's something I'm not going to be able to repair myself. I'm probably going to send it to Rust Blue up in Natick. So I get up there and it does good work and see what he recommends. I mean, the problem is that's right where the Army for Army and Navy C.S.L. So that all I see here is A, and then, you know, the RMY and the ampersand are gone, and then it's Navy C.S.L. And it's like, that's a great place to, you know, butcher a gun. Yeah, so let me see if he can. I mean, if he has to fill that by welding it or brazing it or something like that, and then, you know, touch it up with some hand engraving, you know, that part of it's not too bad. It's the fact that to do that, you're going to melt all the solder on the rib, and then you're going to have to just take both ribs off, re-regulate the barrels, and relay the ribs. And while you're doing that, you might as well just re-blue the whole fucking thing. So, pardon my language. Which, you know, is no biggie. He'd rust blue it. Hence the name of his gunsmithing store up in Natick. But I did pull the extractor out. Again, this is a London, potentially London best, sidelock exposed hammer non-ejector. It's just an extractor. Yeah, I believe ejectors were around by this point in time. I'm not 100% sure. But, you know, they cost more. And this was a Army or Navy officer's gun. So, you know, he may not have been way up there, but he was probably up there somewhere. He could have been a lieutenant or captain or whatever. And it's not like he was some subaltern or something like that. So, yeah. So I'll clean these up. Probably wind up polishing that. And you can see here the little divots for the firing pins. But I mean, this thing was so gunked up in there. I mean, you can see the yuck that's sitting in there. Very, very solidified oil. Took a while to get it out, but yeah, I'll clean this up off camera and we'll get it back in place. Yeah, we'll clean up inside and everything. We'll clean the bores, take a look down with the bore scope. But yeah, I'm running long on this video. I'm rambling a lot. It's 10 o'clock at night, and I gotta work tomorrow. So anyway, that is that. We have disassembled this lock. Like I said, I'm gonna hit everything with some hops. Let it sit overnight. Just to work, you know, anything off there. And when I say hit it with hops, I mean I'm gonna liberally spray these down. Let it do its magic. There we go. Yeah, you can see there's definitely some dirt buildup on that hammer. Yeah, but you can also tell there's great case color hardening here still. And compared to the other hammer, you see there's no brazing marks, no dross or anything like that, no slag. And there we go, there's no mark. So the hammers are again marked with looks like an I or a 1 or an L. So my guess is that these are, probably the Joseph Brazier foundry as well. Ashes in Wolverhampton, so it was outside of Birmingham, which is what makes this gun interesting, because those are London barrels. But the guys that probably would have made this gun, whether it's Webley and Scott or W&C Scott and Son or Wesley Richards, any of those, they're all Birmingham gun makers. So for it to be proofed in London is interesting. It would have been proof for their London showroom, or maybe for the flagship CSL store in London. To say it's a London gun, sell it, get more money out of it. But it's a beautiful hammer. I mean, that cleaned up super quickly. So, like I said, I've got Blackley and Son of Scotland looking for something that's going to work. Been a little bit difficult getting them to respond recently. But yeah, that's it. So again, rambling. I need to cut this video shorter than it is. Thanks everyone. Next episode we will I'll have these all cleaned up by the next episode. I'll throw them in the ultrasonic with some TSP, get them all nice and cleaned up, polished up, see if there's anything that needs to be carted off in terms of rust or anything like that, and then next video we'll put them back together, and they'll look like that sucker. Yeah, nice and bright and shiny inside. Oh, there we go. Look like that sucker right there. Nice and bright and shiny on the inside. Other things we'll be doing, we'll be taking this and some push rod off. Cleaning up the forend iron. Yeah, because there's going to be gunk down in there. You can clearly see gunk down in there. Cool thing about this one is it says W. Anson 26453. And that means it's a true Anson push rod made by William Anson's company that made these in his own workshop. And they sold a bunch of them. Sold them to just about everybody. Patent ran out, I think, 1888. So the fact that this still has a patented serialized push rod in it tells me this is probably... Somebody on Double Gun told me this was probably 1886, 1887, something like that. So there you go. But anyway, there we have it. Beautiful gun. And we're going to make it look nice and pretty. Alright, thanks everybody for watching. Tune in next time.